also testified that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment.
Dallas's rap scene has weathered countless rivalries, but when MO3 was taken out on I-35 in broad daylight, the aftermath blindsided everyone. 5 years later, prosecutors say Yella pulled $100,000 in cash right after the killing, and the bank surveillance caught everything. Here's what really unfolded. The deadly divide, the story of how a Dallas rap tension erupted into bloodshed. That Wednesday in 2020, under the sharp November sun, Dallas moved like any other day. I-35E was jammed with a normal midday crowd, workers grinding, long-haul drivers pushing miles, regular folks just trying to make it through. But the minutes that followed would rattle the entire hip-hop world, triggering a chain of events that wouldn't reach a courtroom conclusion for half a decade. This is the raw account of how a clash between two of Dallas's most authentic voices shifted from lyrical jabs to live ammunition, leaving one artist lifeless on the pavement, and another facing murder-for-hire accusations that could lock him away permanently. But before we get there, to understand how everything spiraled into chaos and gunfire on a crowded freeway in broad daylight, we have to rewind and trace the roots, a conflict that began the way most neighborhood feuds do, over something far smaller than anyone realized at the time. We've got to look at the origins of these two young men, the environments that shaped them, and the combustible mix of determination, loyalty, and neighborhood identity that pushed this situation past any point of return. Yella, born Marquise DeAndre Conway, emerged out of Oak Cliff, Dallas, a community that carries its scars like stripes, known for resilience, but also the daily battles that test everybody raised there. In the early 90s, Conway's world shattered when his father was killed inside their home on Mother's Day, leaving him just 12 years old and forced into a reality no kid is prepared for. A loss that traumatic forces you into adulthood long before you're ready, leaving behind wounds that don't heal and a sharp awareness that safety doesn't exist anywhere. Growing up surrounded by that gritty southern trap energy, blasting out of corner stores and bouncing from car speakers, Conway found refuge in music. By 9 years old, he was already crafting his own verses, using lyricism to process emotions too heavy to speak aloud. This wasn't about fame. It wasn't about attention. At that age, writing became survival, a way to keep the pain from swallowing him whole. As he moved into his later teens and early 20s, those private notebooks turned into something more intentional. He started releasing work within Dallas's underground scene, adopting the name Yella, partly for his complexion, partly for the growing buzz swirling around his high-energy delivery. His early tapes were straight Texas trap realism, raw, unfiltered, and instantly relatable to anyone living that same struggle. His momentum hit a new level with tracks that blended addictive hooks and first-hand street storytelling. Trappin' Designer became a go-to anthem across Dallas, in clubs, cars, house parties, everywhere, the kind of track people memorized without meaning to. That run earned him the attention of Hitco Entertainment, founded by industry titan L.A. Reid, officially putting Yella into the big leagues, where every win and every mistake carries real weight. From there, his rise kept climbing. National chart placements, heavy radio rotation, and a growing fan base gave him a lane far beyond Texas. That's On Me proved he could deliver hits that balanced authenticity and mainstream appeal, something both the streets and the club crowd could embrace. Major collaborations rolled in fast. Chris Brown on Restroom Occupied, Lil Wayne on Hit, Gucci Mane on Back at It Again. Each link-up expanded his footprint and solidified him as a defining voice in the trap wave. Reflecting on his breakout moment during an interview, Yella admitted the success of that first massive single was far beyond anything he ever pictured for himself.
I mean, you came out with these Trappin' Designer records, and what's the latest one that's out right now that's going crazy?
That's On Me.
That's On Me going crazy. What, like 500,000? What, like a month?
Nah, shit. Right now it says 700,000.
But let's keep it real. Yella's climb from a nervous newcomer to a self-assured industry figure was anything but effortless. Conflict stayed orbiting around him, often born from the very same neighborhoods that shaped his art. Run-ins with the law, including weapons charges, reinforced the image of someone molded by his surroundings. A world where survival tactics can look suspect or necessary, depending on who's watching. Now shift the lens north. In North Dallas, another rising artist was building momentum on his own terms. MO3, Melvin Abdul Noble Jr., born in Kinney and raised in North Dallas, lived a narrative that mirrored Yella's pain but carried its own raw edge. Born in the spring of 1992, Noble grew up in a household anchored in faith. He spent time at Greater Hope Holiness Church, and family loyalty defined his early years. North Dallas, equal parts promise and pressure, shaped a young man who never hid his scars, channeling personal turmoil into lyrics that felt more like confessions than performances. Inspired heavily by Boosie Badazz, whose blunt reflections on street life and incarceration hit deep, MO3 carved out a sound rooted in truth. For Noble, rap became both escape and expression. His style fused melodic delivery with unfiltered accounts of life in the trenches. No gloss, no censorship. When he dropped his 2014 mixtape Shot As, the streets responded instantly. His following spread across Dallas, Powered not by flashy marketing but by authenticity, raw emotion poured over beats, night after night. The turning point came when Boosie Badazz took notice, leading to a label partnership and mentorship that elevated MO3 far beyond the local circuit. Their joint project, Badazz MO3, marked a defining moment, showcasing MO3's ability to match seasoned veterans bar for bar. Records like Everybody displayed his emotional depth, while his sharp disses toward rivals proved he could switch into attack mode effortlessly, a blend that made him unpredictable and compelling. But inside Dallas's hip-hop underground, where ambition mixes with street allegiances and lives ride on every move, the tension between Yella Beezy and MO3 was already brewing long before the situation spiraled toward its fatal outcome. What began as low-key rivalry slowly mutated into personal disrespect, violent confrontations, and whispered retaliations. Fans watched it unfold online, while families caught in the crossfire dealt with real-world consequences. This feud didn't erupt from one defining event. It built over time, layer by layer, fueled by rumors, bruised egos, and the harsh truth that in certain environments, rap beefs can turn lethal without warning. The earliest tension dates back to their grind in Oak Cliff and North Dallas, scenes overflowing with talent but driven by territorial pride. Street talk suggested the original friction came from something trivial, supposedly a romantic overlap, but outsiders were the real accelerants. Enter Roy Lee Phipps Jr., a Dallas comedian infamous for brutal online roasts aimed at rappers' reputations and street legitimacy. Roy Lee publicly mocked Yellow's Oak Cliff roots, accusing him of padding his credentials, essentially labeling him an impersonator. The videos hit hard. In street culture, few wounds cut deeper than having your authenticity questioned. And because Roy Lee was closely tied to MO3, his commentary pulled MO3 into the drama indirectly, tying him to the conflict whether he wanted it or not. Things intensified fast. Reports circulated that Roy Lee confronted Yellow's team at a club and ended up getting jumped. He didn't back off, the jokes continued, until the situation turned tragic. In late 2018 or early 2019, Roy Lee was shot in the leg in North Dallas, and complications from blood clots eventually took his life. Rumors spread immediately, pointing toward Yellowy or his associates, with whispers that money had been put on Roy Lee's head, though no evidence ever confirmed it. After that, the feud shifted into darker territory. What could have remained playful antagonism became something heavier, with MO3 now feeling compelled to ride for a fallen friend. Beneath the surface, deeper forces were at play. Yellow's alignment with the rolling 60s Crips brought organized street loyalty into the picture. In a city where gang networks overlap with the rap scene, these affiliations can turn personal beef into crew-level conflict, governed by codes that don't bend. A series of flashpoints marked how far things had escalated. In October 2018, Yella Beezy survived a drive-by on the North Dallas Tollway, an attack that left him injured and hospitalized. And when MO3 was asked about the increasing violence touching rappers, especially shootings across Dallas, his response carried a chilling calm, as if danger was simply part of the lands.
Yella Beezy got shot up. What were your thoughts about that?
I gotta stay out the way. Out here, shit. Get hit up every day. Out here, like.
Meanwhile, MO3 stayed just as firm on his side of the narrative, repeatedly denying that any organized beef existed between Dallas rappers. He brushed off the rumors as nothing more than blog-made chaos, manufactured drama designed to stir up clicks, spark debates, and keep the algorithm fed.
Well, after we did the interview with you, I interviewed MO3.
Who?
MO3.
I don't know who that is.
Well, I asked about the shooting, and he said there's no beef, but he said you just gotta stay out the way, it's real out here.
And when interviewers pushed even harder, bringing up specific street incidents and alleged surveillance clips showing confrontations, MO3 doubled down. His denials became almost comedic in their bluntness, waving everything off as pure internet fiction. To him, it wasn't beef. It was people stretching half-truths into storylines that never existed.
Yeah, they was misinformed about some rap beef, and I was like, nah, I ain't got no rap beef with nobody. I ain't got no rap beef with no rapper in my city. And no rap beef. Do you see somebody running down the street?
I do not.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you're saying that all that is just nonsense?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Internet be reaching.
But behind the public denials, the claims that everything online was exaggerated or flat out invented, a far darker reality was quietly unfolding in the streets. A lethal plan was taking shape, one that would climax on a crowded Dallas freeway in broad daylight, transforming a rap feud from internet drama into a national murder case that would take 5 years to unravel. The broad daylight highway execution, captured on camera. November 11th, 2020 started like any normal Wednesday in the city. Clear skies, steady traffic, people hustling to make their living. Around midday, MO3 was heading north on I-35E near the Oak Lawn exit, a stretch every Dallas native knows, always filled with commuters and long-haul rigs. What happened next was immortalized on the dashcam of an 18-wheeler, recording every chilling moment of a bold execution that investigators would later call a planned hit carried out with absolute disregard for innocent bystanders. A dark-colored car eased up beside MO3's vehicle. Without warning, the driver unleashed gunfire. Shots ripped through the air, tearing into MO3's ride and sending him veering as horns blared and nearby drivers reacted in total disbelief. Pinned down and desperate to survive, MO3 made a frantic split-second decision. MO3 jumped out of his vehicle and sprinted across active lanes of traffic, dodging cars as drivers slammed brakes and chaos erupted around him. The gunman, unfazed, locked in, stepped out of his own car and chased after him on foot, weapon raised and ready. Witnesses later described the scene as something out of a nightmare. A figure dressed head to toe in black, face covered, stalking MO3 across multiple lanes before firing the shots that proved fatal. MO3 collapsed on the freeway, bleeding heavily as the entire highway ground to a halt. Emergency crews arrived within minutes, but the injuries were catastrophic. He was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital, cutting short a rising career and launching a long, intricate homicide investigation that wouldn't reach resolution for years. When the dashcam footage finally went public during court proceedings, media personalities, including DJ academics, analyzed it frame by frame for millions watching online. The visuals showed MO3 trying to maneuver away from the approaching vehicle, seemingly unaware at first of just how deadly the situation had become.
Now, here's the thing. I gotta believe if MO3 is in this vehicle, I gotta believe that MO3, it doesn't really feel like he's that much in danger or that this person is trying to kill him. You get what I'm saying? And the reason why I gotta believe that is that the dude passes him. MO3 could have slowed down. Let's say the guy's going 60. Reduce your speed to 30. I'm not having a standoff in the middle of the highway. I'm keep driving. I'm flooring it, right? I'm keep flooring this bitch, okay? But MO3 actually stops, but it appears MO3 must have been under the assumption, oh, this pussy nigga is playing with me. Maybe recognize the guy or recognize the car. And he's like, let me go get my chopper.
At the scene, detectives recovered dozens of shell casings scattered across the concrete, unmistakable evidence of a high-powered weapon being fired rapidly. Investigators later identified the firearm as a semi-automatic capable of releasing rounds at a fast pace, explaining both the volume of casings and the devastating injuries MO3 sustained to his back and torso, wounds consistent with someone shot while fleeing. Footage from passing drivers and highway surveillance systems provided additional pieces of the puzzle, capturing MO3's gold sedan riddled with bullet holes and the suspect's dark vehicle left behind after the job was completed. These images laid out the chase, the movement patterns, and the shooter's deliberate behavior, allowing investigators to stitch together a precise timeline of those violent moments. The fact that the ambush happened in such an exposed location, on a major freeway in the middle of the day, showed how bold and reckless the hit truly was. Whoever carried it out seemed far more interested in finishing the assignment than worrying about the dozens of witnesses who saw everything unfold. The key to breaking the case was identifying the shooter who actually carried out the hit. Keywan Dontrell White, 22 years old and already on parole, quickly became the prime suspect after Dallas PD released surveillance stills showing a man matching his build near the scene. White, who had a history including firearms charges, was arrested about a month later, in December 2020, after street tips and forensic matches linked him to both the getaway vehicle and the weapon used. Investigators labeled him the triggerman, the individual allegedly hired to carry out the killing on behalf of whoever wanted MO3 eliminated. He was initially charged with murder, but eventually took a plea on related gun offenses, accepting a 9-year sentence while agreeing to cooperate with prosecutors and testify against the accused mastermind. Another figure, Devin Brown, was also pulled into the case. He was indicted alongside White and Yella Beezy in 2025, accused of playing a role in coordinating the hit behind the scenes. While his exact role remained clouded in uncertainty, even as formal charges rolled out, the true shockwave hit when investigators shifted their focus toward who might have been pulling the strings from the shadows. Yellowy, Marquis DeAndre Conway, emerged later in the investigation as the alleged architect, accused of coordinating the hit as part of a long boiling feud that had stretched across years. The investigative process unfolded slowly, each step showing just how difficult it is to assemble a flawless case around a high-profile street conflict involving major rap figures. Dallas police launched a full-scale hunt right after the killing, releasing surveillance images that produced immediate leads pointing squarely at White as the gunman. Early casework revolved heavily around physical evidence, ballistics that tied shell casings to a weapon linked back to White, plus witness accounts that locked in the sequence of events on that deadly November afternoon. But after those first breakthroughs, the investigation stalled. Detectives ran into a wall as they struggled to uncover a clear motive or determine who might have funded or ordered the hit from the top. Street informants eventually became the lifeline that revived the case. Whispers from the neighborhoods, combined with White's cooperation, produced the first allegations that Yellowy had allegedly put money on the table, supposedly in retaliation for previous altercations and building disrespect between factions. The case stretched from the 2020 killing all the way to the arrests in 2025, A 5-year gap driven by the need to verify street rumors with solid evidence, handle testimony from individuals with their own agendas, and overcome problems like incomplete digital records and hesitant witnesses. Major obstacles included fading memories, fears of retaliation within the rap community, a culture of silence, and the sheer difficulty of proving a murder-for-hire scheme without direct admissions or a documented financial trail showing the payout. Video evidence and forensic work became the backbone of the prosecution's case against Yella. Highway surveillance tracked the vehicles in real time, while dash cameras delivered unfiltered footage of the chase and the shooting unfolding across the packed interstate. But the most damaging evidence, according to prosecutors, came not from the cameras, but the financial records. Bank documentation showed Yella withdrew $40,000 in cash shortly after the murder, a transaction prosecutors argued represented payment for the hit. The defense claimed the timing was purely coincidental. This tied directly to the bank camera angle investigators would later highlight. Security footage likely captured the withdrawal, and though those recordings were subpoenaed, they have never been released publicly due to the ongoing legal process. Phone logs revealed communication between Yella and White around the time of the killing, with cell tower data placing their devices unusually close to one another in the days before and after MO3's death, a proximity prosecutors viewed as suspicious coordination. The killing didn't happen in isolation. It was woven into a broader history of violence that hinted at a rising pattern between both camps. The 2019 death of Roy Lee, often whispered to be linked to Yella's circle as blowback for his online roasting, fed theories of a revenge cycle spiraling out of control. The assault on Brandon Rainwater at a club, reportedly involving Yella, escalated tensions further, creating additional layers of hostility. And the October 2018 shooting that targeted Yella Beezy, widely rumored to be MO3's retaliation, completed the tit-for-tat dynamic that defined their destructive feud. As the case moved closer to trial, the growing body of evidence, much of it circumstantial, but compelling when pieced together, began forming a narrative prosecutors believed demonstrated planning, intent, and a coordinated murder-for-hire scheme. The stage was set for a courtroom battle that would grip Dallas, shake the hip-hop world, and draw in true crime viewers nationwide, all waiting to see how the story would finally unfold. In March 2025, more than 4 years after MO3 was gunned down on I-35E, a Dallas County grand jury finally handed down a major indictment. Yella Beezy, government name Marquise DeAndre Conway, was formally charged with capital murder for hire, a first-degree felony elevated under Texas law because prosecutors allege money exchanged hands to make the hit happen. According to investigators, Conway allegedly put a bag on MO3's head, hiring Caven Duntrell White to carry out the murder as retaliation for their years-long street beef. Alongside Conway, Devin Brown was also indicted for his alleged role in setting up the hit, adding a deeper layer to what authorities called a coordinated conspiracy. The court schedule shifted repeatedly, as often happens in high-profile cases of this magnitude. The first trial date, originally set for April 2025, was pushed back as both legal teams navigated motions, evidence challenges, and witness issues. Conway's trial was ultimately set for February 2, 2026, while Brown's was slotted for November 2025, a timeline reflecting just how much preparation a potential life sentence case demands. Bond hearings quickly became one of the most heated parts of the pre-trial process. After Conway was booked in mid-March 2025, prosecutors argued he should remain behind bars on a steep $2 million bond, citing his financial resources and the extreme severity of the charges. But on March 27, 2025, the judge reduced the bond to $750,000 after defense attorneys stressed Conway's long-standing community roots, family responsibilities, and his lack of violent prior convictions despite past legal run-ins. During that same hearing, prosecutors previewed their case with surgical precision. A state attorney dropped a major bombshell. They had a star witness prepared to testify, someone who would allegedly tie every moving piece together and directly implicate Yella Beezy in the murder-for-hire plot.
That state's witness will also testify that Marquise Conway was one of the individuals responsible for a portion of that payment. The state's witness will also testify to the individual who would receive this payment. The state's witness will testify that Kewan White was, in fact, the individual to receive this payment, who was originally indicted in State's Exhibit number 1.